Peace, power, and prosperity. Peace, power, and prosperity. If you can do me a big favor, if you can do me a big favor, hit the like, share, and subscribe. I'll give you a moment to subscribe. Let's get these numbers up. Let's get these numbers. If you're viewing this page, if you're viewing this YouTube channel, go ahead and hit the subscribe. If you're viewing this page and you're viewing this channel, go ahead and get your brother a share. Yeah, we giving first hand accounts here. We giving first hand accounts here. Uh, what's absolutely critical as an organizer in the community is having a power base. Now, if you don't have a power base or have an effort where you're supporting the community and they supporting you, then you're kind of getting yourself nowhere, kind of running in circles. There's nothing wrong with doing mutual aid. I'm a proponent of mutual aid, but as a organizer, you want to build a power base, so that the community knows that when you're doing the work that you're doing, you're not just giving out uh, products or items again for mutual aid just for the benefit of it, because then you'll have a situation where you're just giving out a bunch of free stuff. We giving out information, giving out products, giving out mutual aid in the benefit of promoting revolutionary ideology. That's what it's about. And to promote community unification. That's what it's about, essentially. And to promote community empowerment. That's what it's about. And so, in my experience, going back to the 2007, 2008, 2009 era, which was several years ago, a few years back, um, we were organizing in Pleasant Grove. We were organizing in Pleasant Grove, and we had access on a apartment complex that we worked at, that we did community patrols at. We did it in Spring Hollow, and we also did it in Timber Park, Timber Park apartment complex. Now, of course, these are named something different now, but they're literally right across the street. So imagine me being in Spring Hollow, going over to Timber Park, run across the street with an AK-47, uh, which is crazy to even think about now. But we did it back then, run across the street with shorts and a t-shirt, and because it's hot outside, and uh, got a handgun in my pocket and carrying a rifle or a shotgun, run across the street to support what we had going on over there if we had some issues to that extent. Oftentimes we did that, I think, was to kind of deter folks from doing things. And we got pretty much a lot of support from doing it, especially from the older folks. The older folks supported because they like the idea of us walking the community, and when we see them, we speak. We say good morning, good evening, good night, etc. And a lot of times we took trash out. When I'm talking about that, I'm talking about myself and Mayor Chesedek. Again, this was sort of the foundation, if you will, to what became Guerrilla Mainframe at the time. In doing that, we had access to a kind of a smaller version of a rec center called the Dream Center. We had access to the Dream Center, and the Dream Center was a two-level building in the middle of the complex that had a kitchen and had plenty of space upstairs and downstairs to have meetings and also to invite people to have discussion. It was a beautiful thing. It was a beautiful thing. A little bit later, UNT Dallas is based out in Richardson, through Chris Keefe, because Chris Keefe was also there with us. Now, if you know Chris Keefe, he does a lot of real estate transactions now, for the most part in South Dallas, but really I'm sure all across the city. He's definitely making a lot of connections, and he's been holding a lot of informational meetings. I've attended a couple of them myself about real estate and getting folks active, invested, and also helping folks get homes. So if you're in the area, particularly Dallas, Texas, look up CK Services, Chris Keefe, and he can help you get into a home, or at least connect you to the folks that could help you. But I say that to say that he was there with us at that particular time, and he was uh, 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 he was working with UNT Dallas, and they needed a place to kind of really kind of get their feet wet. And so, because Chris Keefe lived there, and because me and him were very close, we gave him access to the Dream Center. Now, those of us that was real close in this, just kind of put some names on it. Melchizedek Gibbs, Saida Williams, who was kind of the key person in a lot of different things. Saida was. Eric Caffrey, of course, was close in this, and a few other people. But this is how we initially got the Black August started. We did Black August educational courses, and that's what we brought the community to. So imagine young 15, 16-year olds who never heard of any of this information before, teaching them from the Dream Center, again, which is this big building, two-story building that has space and had all types of resources in it. We taught them about Black August, taught them about George Jackson, taught them about just community organizing, talk to them about being prepared, talk to them about being healthy, that sort of thing. Now, my people, we love chicken. We like to eat a lot of chicken and a lot of unhealthy items, and I'm not including myself in that conversation. But right up the street is a Williams Chicken, and some folks would rather go get Williams Chicken and a soda. You might like chicken and a soda. Uh, Occasionally, I get it. You know what I'm saying? So that's why we was having a conversation with them about healthy living, healthy lifestyle, being mindful of what they eat, and also having some type of workout regimen, which we thought was very important. The PLC, the People's Lunch Counter, really became that banner that we used in order to enforce that. And that was all about healthy style, healthy living, being mindful of what you intake, and also be mindful of the energy, if you will, of what you allow to be around you. And I thought that was very important to what we were doing, especially related to the upliftment of Black people in Pleasant Grove, in Pleasant Grove. And so we had these meetings, brought UNT Dallas there, and that was during the daytime. So between 8 and 3, we would be patrolling. Between 8 and 3, we'd be having these meetings where the community can come to. In the evening time and in the nighttime, myself, Melchizedek Gibbs, and other folks would be patrolling the community at nighttime. These were armed patrols that took place in the community. Again, the purpose of these particular moves was to show some community control, and this is very important. I was also connected with some folks out of the Malcolm X grassroots movement at the time that they wanted to come down. The Bandelli, Monifa Bandelli, and her husband wanted to come down and sort of visualize what we had going. They never did get a chance to do it, but I know that they were obviously in support, and so that was the purpose of this conversation, is to kind of promote the idea of building a liberated zone. I hear community movement builders now talk about having liberated zones. And so we, in essence, had a liberated zone between Spring Hollow and Timber Park. That particular block is something that we did our best to influence. We did our best to try to make it known that certain rules and regulations would be in effect uh, during this time we was there, for the two years that we was there. How we initially got there was that we were doing such an awesome job, I think, in Spring Hollow. They had heard about the work that we had done there and how we were being very present and very visible, if you will. When we got to Timber Park, they wanted to have us initially do some of the same work. So we sat down with the owner, who was a European lady. Her name was Kathy. She was one of those like really wealthy, really rich type of person that you can imagine. Like this person that just comes across as having a bunch of money, so much money that they don't got, they don't know exactly what to do with it. So I remember sitting down with them, and one thing she wanted to know what our position on God was, and at that particular time, I didn't really have a position per se. I was kind of neutral, and very much so I'm kind of neutral on it now, meaning that you believe whatever you want to believe, what works for you and your family, and whatever I believe works for me and mine, sort of thing. But she was a very evangelical, Christian oriented type person. At least that's how she attempted to come across. And so her objective was is that she wanted to at some point get rid of the complex. That was really what her goal was. And so, hey, she no longer wanted to pay DPD. That's a key thing to remember, is that she no longer wanted to pay the Dallas Police Department. Not paying the Dallas Police Department means that she cut costs and she can have these other guys, myself, Melchez, that in what eventually became the Guerrilla Mainframe, over at this complex, and the people that was affiliated with us to patrol the complex, and it wouldn't necessarily cost her the same as she would pay these officers. Now, these officers, although they were present on the property, they wasn't getting rid of crime or anything of that nature. Like I know the week before we got there, somebody had gotten murdered, had gotten shot. I noticed that the property was being damaged, things of this nature, windows being busted out, all this type of stuff was going on the property before we got there. And we also had received a threat that, hey, when these guys come over here, this is some of the folks talking. This is some of the folks talking that was already there. They're saying that, hey, when these guys come over here and try to patrol the community, we're going to have a shootout with them. We're going to have a shootout with them. So that was the word that was getting over to us at that particular time. And the way that how we perceived it was just really a part of the job. I mean, we was in Pleasant Grove, and if you were in Dallas at that particular time, at least in my humble opinion, Pleasant Grove was one of those types of places that was seen as anything can go wrong at any particular time, particularly in the John West section of Pleasant Grove. That's where we was at. So we were dealing with folks from John West, Bruton, all the way to Ferguson. If you're in Dallas, you know what I'm talking about. Dealing with folks on 6-4 Ferguson, dealing with folks from John West and all the barbershops and Millennium Point, that's a complex over there, BKV, Buckner Village, apartments. All of those areas had influence on what we were doing in our community, because people would come on and come off. And a lot of times things were happening in the community with folks that actually didn't live there. And so that's what we were, in essence, that's what we were dealing with the most. We was dealing with folks that didn't live there, or we were dealing with some younger folks that seemed like everybody in one way or form carried a gun and things of that nature. But our objective was to build a power base. And though I mentioned the community, some of the issues that may have existed in the community, I do want to tell you about some of the issues that we dealt with the police. The police at that particular time was very so aggressive and very so interested and disinterested at the same time, meaning that we was patrolling the community. They wasn't worried about us patrolling the community per se, or being active in the community, although they were upset about us carrying guns. What they did come upset about is us taking their jobs, which basically what we did, which kind of made I guess a few officers somewhat upset about it, and the fact that we was kind of a civilian armed group that was not authorized, if you will, or was not in a line, or I should say, or in agreement with the way the police did things, because we wasn't working directly with the police. It was things that happened that we didn't necessarily get the police involved. We never did get anyone arrested or anything of that nature. We dealt with things internally. If there was a fist fight, like I said, brought up in the last conversation with Larry, I had a fist fight with Larry. Nobody went to jail. There was a busted bottle that threatened to cut me and Melchizedek and my cousin Dante and everybody. Guess what? Nobody went to jail. Nobody went to jail. And you know what? And the fact of the matter is, we were able to resolve our matters internally, and nobody lost their life, and we all resolved it. And guess what? When me and Larry saw each other again, we all shook hands. There was a couple other fights that took place. There was a couple other things that took place and how we dealt with it. But our objective ultimately was to build a power base and to have respect from the community and to give respect to the community. And I think that we did that. And so I say that all to say is that we used the Dream Center as that centerpiece that allowed us to organize, and allowed us to organize so well that we were able to do so for 2 years. So we patrolled the community every day for 2 years in Pleasant Grove, '07, '09, Spring Hollow, Timber Park, BKV, Millennium Point. We were everywhere in Pleasant Grove. Now, I challenge you that if you're organizing the way that we were organizing back then, stay vigilant, build you a power base, and move forward, okay? And go forward with your plan and program. That's the purpose of this. Is from first point eyewitness standpoint that we can give. You know what I'm saying? That I'm giving here. First eyewitness standpoint that I'm giving here, and I'm here to live, live through it. I remember one particular time that we was patrolling. I got a call from Mel Chazette on the walkie-talkie. At that particular time, he called me Amazu. He said, Amazu, Amazu. You know what I'm saying? And I forgot what his call name was, but I ran across the street with a shotgun, and he grabbed this AK-47, and we rolled up on two of our comrades that was being detained by the police because they didn't know anything about legally carrying arms. Now, in the state of Texas, 4601 allows you to legally be able to bear arms, and the police act like they didn't never heard nothing about that before, and so I guess they were trying to challenge folks. Man, I tell you, that police officer didn't even know how to take a round out of a shotgun. I reached out and tried to grab the gun from the police officer. Tell him, press the button on the shotgun, and that way you can take the rounds out. Then the police wasn't even he wasn't even aware of that. And so I grabbed the gun, at least put my hands on the same time he had his hands on his, and that kind of caused an incident. But look, I didn't go to jail that day, and it kind of caused a situation where folks in the complex was like just so shocked that the fact that we had our guns and they had their guns, and to the fact that I tried to take the gun out of the hand, my gun out of another gun of mine out of the hand of the police. That's basically what I'm trying to say, and was alive to tell the story. Like in those days, folks believed that if you had a gun and they tried to take their gun from you, or if they saw you with your gun, that you was dead. That's basically how folks looked at it, and that's why our position, one of our positions was we want to educate people about their rights to bear arms. That's like one of our main positions, and the reason for that is because we want people to know you can defend yourself, okay? Not just against somebody that's the communities per se that's trying to make an issue with you, break into your car, break into your house or something like that. Not just because of that, but we were saying because of the state, you know what I'm saying? The state control, you know what I'm saying? State oppression. That's what we were talking about, and that's kind of what we dealt with. And so we kind of dealt with a two-edged sword. This has been Yafeuh Balogun. I'm gonna cut this one short. I just wanted to talk about that for a second, about building power bases and how we leveraged the Dream Center as a way to ultimately be successful organizers, which we did so for 2 years. Peace, power, and prosperity. Do me a big favor: like, share, subscribe. Like, share, subscribe. A real revolutionary channel. First person perspective, believe me. First person perspective. Also, be on the lookout for 2024. We are Balogun. Get with me. Peace.